violent movies probably make people more violent. Companies literally spend millions of dollars to have their product show up in a movie because Gatorade thinks that you're going to buy more Gatorade if you see somebody in a movie drinking Gatorade. But we've all just assumed, oh, but not with shooting. That won't affect us at all.
Well, fortunately, Alex, we don't have to rely just on people's opinions, even your unpopular ones, because we can look at the research and ask, what does the data say about violence in movies translating into violence in real life? And I admit I was extra curious about this particular question because, as my followers know, I've already done videos debunking the idea that violent video games lead to more violence in real life. Studies like this one or this one, for example, continue to show that violent video games lead to no increase in violence in the real world and sometimes even a decrease, maybe from some sort of cathartic response. But you did say movies, which is a different form of media. And what does the research show about those? And somewhat surprisingly to me, this form of media shows a different relationship. You seem to be right. Violence in movies does seem to predict more violence in the real world. This study, for example, exposed children to a 20-minute cartoon, either containing some kind of gun on the table or not, and then they were placed in a room that had a real disabled gun that they could play with in games. And the kids who were exposed to the TV show that had a gun in it had far more trigger pulls on the gun that was in the playroom than those who did not. Another study looked at college students, polling them about their past exposure to both real-life and televised violence, and then measured physiological responses while they observed violent things on a screen. And what they found was that exposure to both real-world and televised violence in the past were associated with present-day decreased physiological responses that we would associate with empathy and increased responses associated with aggression. Now, importantly, real-world violence exposure was far stronger of an effect than if someone observed televised violence, but nonetheless, the relationship was still there. So what do you all think? Why is it that one form of media seems to increase violent actions in the real world, while the other form with violence in it seems to decrease it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And Alex, once again, I guess your unpopular opinion turns out to really be another true fact.